Okay, so if you're here, you are wanting to know how to download and install and use the ASMR bundle that I've listed on my Etsy shop. So it comes with 4 sets of arms. I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do that. So your first step is downloading and installing. So how to download and install, you'll have purchased these files on Etsy, so you'll need to go to your Etsy account in whatever your internet browser is, and you're going to want to go here, click your account icon, and you're going to go to purchases and reviews. Here you can see the items that you've purchased. Sorry, that was my bird. What you've purchased is a digital file, so you're going to want to click download files. If for some reason the file is too large, then it will come with, instead of the actual, like if I click download here, I'll get this zip file. It includes 1 file, and it'll be a zip file of this. But for some items that are too big, this one might be too big, it will include a text file. And so when you download that text, or when you download, you'll still click download files, but you'll either receive a text file or you'll get a zip file. If you do get a text file, it's going to take you to, so you'll get a little notepad thing that'll say like download, and it'll have a Google Drive link, and you'll just copy the Google Drive link and paste it into your internet browser. And let me show you what Google Drive looks like. So if for some reason you don't get a zip file directly from the Etsy download here, usually you can just get the zip file directly. But if it's too big, it might send you the text file. You'll have to copy the Google Drive link, and then you'll get a link like this. And you're going to click this download button up here. You're not going to open the folder. Don't download the pieces individually. Just click the big boy download button over here, and then once you've clicked that, you'll get a zip file that downloads. So what is a zip file? A zip file is a folder, but it has been zipped closed. That way, as the file is downloading, little bits and bobs of the files won't go missing. Basically, it's a way for me to send you multiple folders at once, rather than just sending you individual files one by one by one by one. You can get this folder that has all of these in it. So I'm going to show you how to unzip a zip file. To unzip a zip file, if you're using Windows, generally Windows or even Mac will understand what a zip file is. Mine looks like a stack of books because I use a thing called WinRAR. But nowadays, you can probably just extract or unzip the files. You won't need WinRAR, but if you're having trouble, you can download WinRAR. It is free. So you'll just click, you can do open with WinRAR if you have it, or you can do extract files. Alternatively, it might be listed as unzip files. And then you'll get to kind of pick where you want these files to be unzipped. For me, what I like to do is I want to just extract all of these files, and I'll just put them on my desktop for now. So I'll extract that to my desktop, and then now that I have the unzipped version, I don't need the zip file anymore. I'm going to go ahead and throw that away. You can always re-download it later if you need to, but the software can't use the zip file. So now to install these items, because these items use hotkeys, I would recommend actually installing them in the Live2D models folder rather than the Live2D items folder. So what that means is you're going to go to where you have VTube Studio installed. For me, it's in my Steam library, Steam apps, Common, VTube Studio, and VTube Studio data, streaming assets. And this is where you're going to, usually you'll put items just in the items folder, but because my items, this particular set of arms uses hotkeys, I want you to load it as a model first so you can see the hotkeys and make changes to them if you need to. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to just, don't grab this big folder. I mean, I guess you could, but go ahead and grab the individual folders. There's 4 different sets of arms. There's the basic sleeve. There's a version that is like a cuffed sleeve, so it's a little more like a dress shirt. This one, so there's a little cuff on there. There is the kimono sleeve, in case your model has a kimono, and then there's a no sleeve option if your character has, short sleeves or doesn't wear a shirt. So you have these 4 options. You don't necessarily need to install all of them, but you might as well since you've downloaded them. So what we're going to do is I'm going to move these files that I have. They're just living on my desktop. I'm going to move them from my desktop into Live2D models. Not items for the moment, but models. They will go into items later, but not right now. Right now I'm going to put them in live 2D models. So I'm going to go bloop, and we're going to let them move into live 2D models. From here, you have now successfully installed the arms, and now let's go on to the next step, which is actually looking at the hotkeys and setting them up. So now that you have your items placed in the live 2D models folder, we're going to go ahead and open VTube Studio. Now that VTube Studio is open, we're actually going to load those items as we would as if it were our regular model. We're not going to load them as items yet. We're going to load them as a model, and I'll explain why. So we're going to go to Change VTS Model, and we're going to pick whichever arm you're going to use, depending on your character's design. For now, since this one's the most complex, I'll go ahead and show you the kimono one. So we have it loaded as a model, and if my webcam was plugged in, this item would actually be moving with physics. Let me check that real quick. Okay, there we go. Now my webcam is on, so you can see, like, as I move my head, and if the model had a body, as the body moved, the arm kind of has some subtle physics. So the purpose of this, of loading it as a model rather than an item, is we can set up and edit the hotkeys. By default, I have some hotkeys set up for this model. For example, I have them set and I've written them down. The button is on Control 1. The crinkly bag is on Control 2. Makeup brush, Control 3. The smaller makeup brush is on Control 4. There's a wooden block on Control 5. And then Control 6 will kind of make the arm a little thicker, just to kind of give it a slightly more masculine look. That way male VTubers can use this asset too. I kind of tried to make it gender neutral, but wanted to go ahead and add a little bit of a beefier arm. And then the other one is Control W. That is for wrist position. Originally it was drawn to be like this, but I found that this was kind of poking into your own model's eye, so I changed it so that you can toggle the position with the Control W key. Now, what if your main model, your character model, for example, has a hotkey already set to Control 1? So let's say my model, let me show you my model. He's over here somewhere. So let's say I want to use the arm on this model, right? But when I push Control 1, that activates like his blush hotkey, and I don't want to be activating the blush hotkey or like all these other hotkeys, because these are all on Control 1, Control 2, Control 3, the same hotkeys that the hand is using, and I don't want them to be on the same thing. So either I can change the hotkeys on this model, which is kind of a chore because I already have all my Twitch redeems set up with this model. So instead what we're going to do is, the purpose of loading the arm item as a model first is so that you can change the hotkey input if you need to. So if, like my model, I'm already using specifically left control plus the 1 key, you can come in here and you can change that too. Like you have to push the number 1 key and the number 2 key. So if I just push 1, nothing happens. If I push Control 1, nothing's happening. I have to push 1 and then 2, and then it will turn that off and on. For now, I'm going to leave it on Control plus 1. But if you need to change the hotkeys so that they are not the same as your gameplay, or the same as your OBS hotkeys, or the same as some other, like if you ever use this particular combination of hotkeys in another software and you don't want it to keep activating accidentally, this is where you would change those hotkeys. And now another option is, while we're here and it's loaded as a model, we can click the model settings and we can customize the model and change the colors here. So you would do customize multiplying screen. So you can change the color of the hand, so you have the shadows and you have the individual hand separately. If you've downloaded any of my other items, you'll notice that most of my items are broken up into the base color of the item, the shading of the item, and then also the line art is its own layer. This is so that you can make it match your model as close as possible, just because that's the benefit of it being a live 2D item plus having the physics, is that you can control the colors of the item. But I'm not, so you could customize the model here, or we can customize it when we drag it onto our model. How do I, now that I have corrected the hotkeys how I want them, how do I now implement this as an item? There are two ways to do that. So let me pause this recording here, and I'm going to put it on the third step. So now we're on step 3, which is moving this item that we've changed our hotkeys to, whether you've changed them to, you know, like 1 plus 2, so you have to push these keys. For now, I'm going to leave it as the default so that it's right now, when you download this file, it's going to match this. Definitely change the key combination to whatever works for your particular layout, whether you're using a Steam Deck or a Stream Deck or whatever, or you just want to use maybe the number pad keys instead of Control plus 1. But now we're going to move this item to the hotkey, or we're going to move this item with hotkeys into the items folder, and there's two ways to do that. There is, you know, the physical file way, which is I'll open the live 2D models, I'll select the items that I've changed, cut, and then I'll paste them in here into my items folder. That will work. Then you'll close live 2D, or you'll close VTube Studio, reopen it, and the items will be loaded. Or you can also do that from VTube Studio itself. So, for example, right now we're still in model mode. This is not an item. This is being read as a live 2D model, like an avatar. But I can go to this option here and say, load the current model as live 2D item. Select. So this will copy the currently loaded model, which is the arm with the kimono sleeve, into the items folder. Basically, by clicking that button, it will do the same process as copy and pasting it into this folder. So we're going to go ahead and click OK. And now you'll notice that it's kind of, we've got two of them now. Let's go ahead and close this. We can throw this away. And now let's load our normal model. So let's say I want to be my, where's my model? Here. I want to be my pigeon boy. So now this is the part where you're more familiar with, which is, oh, I downloaded an item, I put it in the items folder, now it's time to pin it onto my model. So let's pin it onto the model. To do that, we're going to go to the item settings, and we're going to choose an item to pin. Now that the kimono sleeve is in that folder, I can just hit select, and then here we get to specify, do we want it to be behind my model, or do we want it to be above my model? For the arms, you're going to want it to be above your model, just whatever layer. This is important if you are using multiple items. For now, I'm only using this one, so it doesn't really exactly matter. And our options are pin to live 2D model. We do want to pin this to the model. You don't always want to pin it to your model in case it moves around too much. But for the purpose of this tutorial, we're going to go ahead and leave that. If you want your model to be right-handed instead of left-handed, you can flip the image. And then before we click OK, we want to hit Configure and Fine-Tune Live 2D Item. So let's click that. And here, this little checkbox here, this little checkbox says Use Normal Hotkey Triggers. What this means is it's going to use the hotkeys that this item had when it was a model. So it's going to be able to use the Control 1, Control 2, Control 3 hotkeys. It will conflict with this model because I didn't change it, and this model also uses Control 1, Control 2. Just ignore that for this tutorial. Just pretend. Just ignore my model, okay? But so specifically for this arm, it's kind of useless if you turn this off. So go ahead and keep this on. You can delay the physics and adjust like the movement. This probably won't really do a whole lot. I'm going to hit click OK. And now we're going to customize the multiply and screen color overlays. So now this is the third part of the tutorial, which is coloring the model. So, ultra cool, we're going to change the colors to match the model. So click yes. And because all of my items I make in a similar way, which is I separate the shadow from the skin color, from the line art, etc. So, and I name everything so you're not looking at stuff that just says art mesh 1 through 58. So this is going to help make it a lot easier for you to color it and match your model. So you're just going to kind of like, well, just put it near the model. It doesn't really need to be pinned right now. And let's just kind of click around, and let's change the hand color, and let's try to match it to that model. Cool. And for now, focus on matching it to the base color. So like, focus on the main like area without shadows. That's what I'm going to focus on right now. So I need to be a little more yellow. Perfect. But the shadow's kind of gray. That doesn't look great because my model shading is pink. Well, that's why I have the shadow as a separate piece. So you can kind of drag that into the pink range. Let's add a little bit more yellow. And then like, if you feel like this is too dark, you can use alpha, and what that will do is it will turn that transparent. And so you can just kind of make the shading a little less dark. Let's add a little bit more saturation. There we go. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and make note of this hex code here, which is FFE7D1. And for the forearm, I'm going to make sure that's FFE7D1. So now the forearm matches. And this forearm does have some shadows down here. The sleeve hides it, but the version without the sleeve, you'll be able to see it fully. So we're also going to do we're going to copy the hand shadow color, and we're going to put that on the forearm shadow. Cool. And then let's do the kimono sleeve color. Let's try and make it match, I guess, his sleeve. It's kind of like a desaturated, lightish, orangey brown. Okay, cool. And then this one also, I have like a gradient layer. That way, you know, if you wanted this to like have a cool gradient look on it, you could do that. Let's just do this. That's fine. And then there's also the kimono cuff, this cuff sleeve color. So you can change this color as well. And then the line art is gray, so we can actually make it black to kind of match this. We'll make it like a dark brown. And I need to change the nails. So you can do a bright color for the nails if your model has bright colored nails, or you can kind of try to match the skin color. I like to go a smidge darker because if you look at your fingernails, sometimes your fingernails are a little darker or a little lighter than the surrounding skin. Or if you don't want to deal with it, you can just turn this to the alpha down, and then you won't have the fingernails if you feel like it makes it look too dainty or too feminine. So now we have this set up. We can click OK, and now our model has colors. And then so I want the model to kind of pin approximately where his elbow is. So I'm going to grab the item by the elbow, and I'm gonna put it here. Oh, and I clicked and held it. So these are new beta features. So pin between layers. So I could even ooh, would you look at that? I can pin it between different art mesh layers. This is new. This is not something I've seen. I don't want to do that right now. Only pin 2 layers below the item. Colorize front and back. What? Wow, that's cool. So if you click and hold, you'll open this new beta feature. So that's cool. But yeah. So, but again, I'm gonna click his like where the elbow is, and I'm gonna kind of drag it to there. And then when I let go, it's going to stick to like kind of roughly where I let go. Whereas if I grab it by the hand, let's say, and I pin it by the hand, now it's like pinned up there and it's weird and I don't like it. So I'm going to just kind of grab it where I want to pin it and then let go where I want to pin it. And then I'm going to shrink it a little bit. And if you hold Control and use the scroll wheel, you can rotate it a little bit. Cool. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click off to the side. And now I want to be able to turn this item on as a hotkey. So we're going to click this, which is item scenes for hotkeys. Come back here. And I'm going to create a new item scene, and I'm just going to name this like, we'll name it ASMR arm item. And the item group, watch a tutorial on this. So this is the name of the group that the item scene is in. When you load an item scene that has a group, all other items with the same group will be unloaded. For example, you could have a group called hats to make sure the previous hat is automatically unloaded if you load a new one. So if you have a bunch of optional arms and you don't want to like turn all of them on at once and then you have 6 arms, you can, name this like arms. And you can put it in the arms group, and then if you have a different arm that's like holding up a lollipop or holding up, or just like, a different arm that you have pinned, since they're in the same group, when one is activated, it will disengage the other items. And make sure this is blue so it's saving it. Let's click save, click OK, and now we can go to our hotkeys, and you'll see all of my model's hotkeys. Notice, I can see my model's hotkeys, but I can't see the hotkeys of the item. See how the one that says like bone 10 or makeup brush or wrist position, see how they're not showing up? That's why I wanted you to load it as a live 2D item first. Configure your hotkeys there. Oh, I wanted you to load your item as a live 2D model first in the live 2D models folder. Configure your hotkeys, because you can only configure hotkeys on a model, not an item, which is why we loaded it as a model. And then we copied that model into the items folder. So all of the hotkeys, so if I push Control 1 or Control 2, notice how the items hotkeys are working. So that's really cool. We love that. But now let's go ahead and we'll do ASMR arm on. And then we're going to do... oh, actually that has other stuff on it. We're going to make a new hotkey. I'm going to name this one ASMR arm item on hotkey action. I want to load an item scene, so toggle item scene, and then I'm going to choose the item scene, which was the ASMR arm item, and then I'm going to set this to a key that you're not going to use, a key that you won't use frequently. So when I'm typing a bunch of letters, I'm going to hit all the letters. So it can't be on just like P or H. It needs to be on something like Control or Alt and Z, and like Alt Q or something. So now when I push Alt Q, that item will turn off and on. And there you go. That you've got it. You've got it. And if you need to hide this arm, let's say like, I want my model to kind of be a little more zoomed out, and I don't want to see this portion of my arm. Depending on how your model is drawn, you can go to settings, go to your model, and customize the model that's on your regular model, and then you can like select the arm piece and turn it invisible. But see, that'll turn the upper arm invisible. So I would have to ask my artist, hey, can you give me a version where this lower portion is separate? So we're not going to do that. It doesn't work for all models. So, if I was going to do an ASMR stream, I would probably just try to hide my model a little bit down here just to kind of cover up that area. And then I can toggle the items and have a cute, fun little ASMR scene. And then notice if I push Control W, that hotkey's still saved, so I can change the wrist position. Or I can rotate the arm more, maybe move it down. You may not, like, depending on, your stream, you may not even need to pin it to your model. It just depends on, your setup and stuff like that. But there you go. That's how you use this item. Hopefully this helps. Thank you for watching.